This is Mac from jlptbootcamp.com here with another N5 grammar lesson. Today we're going to be talking about some conjunctions, ga, kara, and toki, and some very useful expressions that you can use to express some ideas and kind of lengthen your sentences and be more specific with your conversation. So to set the scene, please imagine you're at the pet store with your girlfriend and you're looking at some dogs here and you say, Watashi wa inu ga suki. Anata wa? So inu is dog, ga is the subject marking particle, suki is I like. And this other phrase here is anata wa, which can be translated as how about you. Anata, of course, is you, and wa is, in this situation, I know it's the topic marking particle, but in this situation, you're trying to show a contrast. I like it, but how about you? In contrast to me, what's your feelings? That's why you'd use the wa particle here. And your girlfriend answers, Inu wa atama ga ii ga chotto kusai. And so inu is dog, and wa, again, we're using this contrast marking particle. So as for dogs, they have atama is a head. Ga-i means they're smart. They have a good head, literally translated. Ga is butt. Choto is a little. Kusai means smells bad. So their dogs are kind of are smart, but they kind of smell is the whole translation there. So she was using the ga, and sometimes ga is used as a subject marking particle. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a different use for ga, and this is the conjunction ga. And this is a way to combine two sentences in Japanese. Now notice I didn't say but. It's usually translated as but. In most situations, it can be translated as but sometimes it can just be used to connect two sentences. Kind of in the way that semicolon would kind of connect two sentences. They're kind of linked, but they slightly have a kind of a slight contrast to them. Like this particular sentence, nomi ni ikimasu ka, ikimasen ka? So nomi ni is drinking, to drinking. Ikimasu is go, and then ikimasen ka is would you like to come? Would you like to go drinking with me? So I'm going drinking. Would you like to come drinking with me? So in this situation, it's kind of like and, but it's used as a softer connection. Instead of the word for and in Japanese, you won't learn for until N4, I think. But and, which is shoshite, by the way, kind of emphasizes like this and this when you're connecting two sentences. But this ga is a little bit softer of a link that can connect two sentences in this way. Probably at the N5 level, you will probably see it being used as but, because that's the most common use of it. But it's just good to know that this other kind of use exists in case you see something else in your materials that kind of looks confusing, because this obviously wouldn't make sense. I'm going drinking, but would you like to go with me? So that doesn't really quite make sense. So if you are using some extra materials or whatnot, you might see this kind of pop up somewhere. More often than not, you'll see it being used as but, though. So anyway, continuing on, you're still at the store and your girlfriend says, Neru no ga suki dakara neko ga hoshii. So she says neru no, so sleeping. No is the nominalizer. It's changing the verb into a thing. Ga is marking it as a subject. Ski is I like again. Da is here to make it a complete sentence because we need two complete sentences here. One before the kara and one after. Kara is to mean so. Neko ga hoshii, I want a cat. And then she continues on. Neko wa itsumo neteru desho. So neko wa, the topic marking particle wa is marking neko, cat. Itsumo, always. Neteru desho is they're sleeping. They're always sleeping, right? Desho is kind of like you're you want to get some agreement out of the question, out of the statement. And so you respond, ちょっとつまらないよ. So that's a little boring for me. And your girlfriend was using kara. Now, kara is a way of stating the reason for something. So sentence 1 here is the reason. Sentence 2 is the result of that reason. Usually it's translated as so, but it's also, you would use it for because, in those kinds of situations. So both so and because are in this situation, but easiest way to think about this is that the first sentence, the one that kara is after, that's the reason. And then sentence 2 is the result of that reason for something happening. So for example, 私は好きなお菓子があるからいつもこの店で買います. So this store always has my sweets, my favorite sweets. So that's why I always go to this store to buy sweets. And you'll notice here with kara, you don't have to match politeness. So we have aru kara. That means that, that's aru is the casual tense, casual form of Japanese, whereas kaimasu is the more polite form that you're probably familiar with. And actually most of the test N5 test is in that mas form. But you don't need to match. You don't need to say arimasu kara kaimasu. And kara is kind of weird in a sense that usually these don't match if they're in the same sentence. Usually it's the first one is casual, the second one is polite if you want to make the whole thing polite. Now with ga, as we looked at before, both actually have to match. So you need to have the mas form or des form plus mas or des at the end, polite, or casual. They have to match, or it looks kind of weird for ga. For kara, it's not quite as strict for this situation, but these do have to be a complete sentence here. So, for example, with as your girlfriend said before, ski da, we need the da there before kara to the copula to end the sentence before we have kara. Now, of course, in casual conversation, you drop da when you're talking, as you did in the first conversation. You said inu ga ski. You could put da or des. In casual conversation, those are dropped. But when you're making a whole sentence, it's added back in again. Otherwise, it sounds a little strange. Which that's a lot of explaining to do. But the key thing here to remember is if it ends with a noun, you have to have dakara. And of course, if there's a e adjective, you don't have to add anything, just e kara. So atarashi kara, or just any regular sentence. Basically, what you need to look out for is with the nouns and na adjectives need to have dakara to link them up. Now, if you're answering with the reason question, so for example, if someone asks you, "Doshite kono mise e ikimasu ka?" you would respond, "Watashi ga suki na okashi ga arimasu kara." So, doshite is why, kono mise e, this store, towards, which is a particle means towards, ikimasu ka, ikimasu is go, ka is the question marking particle. You're asking, why do you go to the store? Watashi ga suki na okashi ga arimasu kara. Watashi ga, I, suki na, like, okashi, sweets. Ga marks the subject, exist here. Arimasu kara. So you're giving the reason why you would go to this particular store. And if you're wondering why there's actually two gas in that particular second sentence, the reason is the first one is part of a clause that describes okashi. So we can use two gas in that particular situation. Now, one thing you do have to look out for is the polite form. You can't have kind of double polite form at the end. So for example, watashi ga suki na okashi ga arimasu kara desu. This is incorrect. The des in the mas form together is incorrect. You would have to use the casual form in kara desu. So the correct sentence would be watashi ga suki na okashi ga aru kara desu. And you would use this in a particular situation if someone can understand the rest of the conversation here. So if you're talking about this particular store, you say, well, they have they have the sweets that I like, so, and you leave off the rest. So I like going to the store. It can be understood by the listener, so you can drop that part off, and you can form a sentence like this as long as it's the casual tense plus kara plus des. So aru kara desu. You can form that now, which is a little tricky to remember. Something to look out for, especially for the test. Now, continuing with the conversation, you say shogakusei no toki nezumi ga suki datta. So shogakusei is elementary school student. No toki is the time when I was a elementary school student. We're using the no particle there because where shogakusei is a noun, attaching it to toki, which acts as a noun, we need the no particle there to link those two together, noun plus noun. And nezumi ga suki datta. Nezumi is mouse, and ga is marking it. Suki is I like. Datta is to make it past tense. So I like mice. I liked mice when I was an elementary school student. And your girlfriend asks, honto? Naze? So honto is really? Naze is why? Why would you like mice? So here we're using toki. And this is talking about when something happens or happened. And it's easy to get kind of tripped up and think that this is a conjunction like the other ones, kara and ga. But make a note here that we aren't, this isn't linking two sentences. Now, of course, you can put a clause before toki, which is, has a slightly different form. It's very similar to a sentence, but it's not a sentence before it, just as you would a normal noun. And then, of course, with nouns, if you want to link it up with toki, you need no. With a na adjective, you need na. So na adjective plus na plus toki. And then e adjective, you just put right in front of toki. And to give you another example here, we can say Nihon ni itta toki takusan o matsuri ni ikimashita. Now, notice here that when something happens or happened, so in this situation, we're using the past tense with toki. And technically what's happened here is the action has completed if we use the past tense before toki. So I went to Japan, then I went to many festivals. Omatsuri is festivals. Now you could use, when you use just the regular dictionary form, the casual form, Nihon ni iku toki, it kind of has a meaning of when I go to Japan, which could be in the future or at the moment that you're going to Japan, like you're at the airport, you're flying there. It can mean those two things. However, it's a little ambiguous, especially in this situation. Festivals, you need more context to really understand what the true meaning of this is. If you were having a conversation about your trip to Japan, we can assume that you went to a bunch of festivals in Japan. Definitely if you use the past tense. But if you use Nihon ni iku toki, takusan o matsuri ni ikimashita, it could sound like when I go to Japan, I go to many festivals. Like that's kind of a habit that you have. Or you're talking about the future. So it can get a little bit ambiguous. And technically, according to the grammar books, if it's past tense, the action has completed at the time. So ita toki, that means you've completed going to Japan, and then you're doing this other action. That's the main clause, the main part of the sentence. And then, whereas if it's the non-completed form, the non-past form, as it's sometimes called, the casual form iku, in this situation, the action has not completed yet, so it's either present tense or in the future. But it can get a little ambiguous as to when you actually went to the festivals. I mean, obviously you're going to festivals in Japan, but if you're talking about something else, like I bought a camera or something, it sometimes could get a little confusing. So even with native speakers. But for the N5 level, you really don't need to get too involved with this. Just remember that technically, if it's past tense plus toki, the action is completed at the time that the main clause happened. Whereas if it's not past tense, it means that that action has not completed at that moment. So. And also with toki, there's an optional ni wa that you can add afterwards. Ni, of course, is the time marking particle. It can mean in, on, at for time, at 6 o'clock or at 7 o'clock at this point of time. And wa can be used to contrast it. When you can contrast two different moments. So when I go to Japan, I do this. So Ihon ni iku toki wa. But Fransu ni iku toki wa, you're contrasting the two times. When I go to Japan, I do this. When I go to France, I do this. You can use wa there as well. But you don't need it. And the difference is when you use ni, you're emphasizing the point of time and not the action that's taking place in that sentence. If you drop the ni, there's less emphasis on the time and more emphasis on the action that's taking place or took place. So, do you think you have all that? Let's take a quick pop quiz here. Can you translate this? There were a lot of people, so I went home. Now this one uses a no adjective, oze. And oze means a large group of people, usually talking about a crowd of people. And it's a no adjective, so you need a no after it. It's actually kind of behaves like a noun. And oze usually co-locates with hito. So it's oze no hito, means a crowd of people. So that in Japanese would be oze no hito ga imashita kara ie ni kairimashita. So oze no means large group. Hito ga, marking the subject. Imashita is existed. Kara is the so. Ie ni kairimashita. So I returned home. And then another sentence. Can you translate this one? When I go drinking, I drink beer. When I go drinking, I drink beer. Just talking about when, the point of time. So, nomi ni iku toki wa biru o nomimasu. So again, nomi ni is drinking, iku is to go, toki is the time, wa, you're contrasting it to other times. So as for, when I go drinking, I do this. That's why you put the wa particle there. Biru o, biru is beer, o is the object marking particle, and nomimasu is to drink, the polite form of to drink. Last sentence, I met Mr. Tanaka yesterday. He's tall, isn't he? I met Mr. Tanaka yesterday. He's tall, isn't he? So again, you're combining these two sentences. This is a bit of a trick, last minute trick here for the last translation. And we would say, Kino Tanaka-san ni aemashita ga, kare wa sei ga takai desu ne. So Kino is yesterday, Tanaka-san is Mr. Tanaka, ni is to, and this is what we have to use with ao, to meet. So I met to, like you're kind of meeting with someone, you're going to them. Aemashita is past tense. Ga here is linking these two sentences that are related, kind of a weak link between the two. It doesn't mean but. And kare wa is he, as for him. Sei ga, sei is technically translated as spine, but it's usually used in this sense. Sei ga takai means tall. So it kind of literally translates as your back is tall. But this is how you describe someone as being tall. Des is the copula, to make it polite, and ne is that kind of tag, isn't he? I want your agreement on this topic. This sentence is the ne particle there. So let's finish it up. Today we went over ga, kara. Ga first, is combining two sentences in Japanese. Usually it's translated as but. However, it can be used to weakly link two sentences and have a soft meaning of kind of and. We talked about kara, which is to give the reason for some kind of result. Sentence 1 is the reason, sentence 2 is the result. And also you can use it when you're answering questions with a reason. If someone's asking you doshite or naze, you can answer it in this sense, sentence, some kind of sentence plus kara. And last we talked about toki. This means when, talking about when something happens or happened. Always remember this is a noun. So to link it to another noun, we need no. To link it to a na adjective, we need na. E adjectives, clauses, we don't need any kind of connectors there. So that's it for today. Went a little long again. Sorry for that. I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment and ask those in the comments below. If you know anyone that is studying for the N5 exam, I'm sure they'd love to see this video to help them out with these difficult grammar points, ga, kara, and toki. Be sure to share it with them and get the message out and help the website as well. So thank you very much for all that, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and as well as... This has been a grammar explanation video from the JLPT Bootcamp Premium site. Inside the site, you will find some extra goodies, for example, some cheat sheets for all of the videos. And those cheat sheets include a few things. For example, some common mistakes that people make, as well as some example test questions for the JLPT. If you're interested in taking the JLPT and you want that extra edge, something to kind of push you above and get the points that you need to pass, I encourage you to stop by the website at jlptbootcamp.com/premium. There you can find the cheat sheets as well as some extra practice with the grammar points that I've been talking about today. Hope to see you in the premium site very soon. This has been Mac from jlptbootcamp.com.